and the explainer. From the Punch newspaper, 2027 opposition splits over NAS poll shift plan. A fresh bid by the National Assembly to shift the 2027 presidential and governorship elections to November 2026 has divided opposition parties. While some described it as an attempt to extend President Bola Tinubu's stay in office, others agreed it would strengthen Nigeria's electoral system if properly implemented. The proposal, part of sweeping amendments to the 2022 Electoral Act, seeks to move the elections forward by about 6 months to allow all pre- and post-election litigations to be concluded before May 29, 2027 handover date. Moving on to the Guardian newspaper, governors, monarchs meet, chart path to constitutional reform. As debate over governance reform intensify, Nigeria's political and traditional leaders met in Lagos State yesterday in a rare show of unity, seeking to formally enshrine the role of monarchs in the nation's constitutional framework. Governors Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State led the renewed call for constitutional recognition of Nigeria's traditional institutions, describing the demand as both legitimate and long overdue. NOA explains how FG foiled arms smuggling, recovered 658 billion naira. National Orientation Agency NOA has disclosed that the federal government recovered 658.6 billion naira in revenue and foiled arms smuggling attempts across the country in September. The Director General of the agency, Lanre Issa Onilu, stated this yesterday during the October Joint Security Press Briefing in Abuja, where he presented the performance highlights of key security and enforcement agencies. We move on to the Vanguard. FG directs VCs to submit attendance compliance report as varsity strike begins. The federal government has reaffirmed its resolve to implement the no work, no pay policy as the nationwide strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, began yesterday. It also directed vice chancellors of all federal universities to ensure full compliance with labor law. NNPC others hike fuel price to 955 naira per litre. The price of premium motor spirits, PMS, otherwise known as petrol, yesterday increased by 6.8% to 955 naira per litre from 890 per litre sold last week. The paper gathered that stations of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and stations owned by independent marketers in Lagos and Abuja showed that the petrol was dispersed between 900 naira and 955 naira per litre. FG votes 6.3 billion naira interest-free loans to 21,000 flood disaster victims. No fewer than 21,000 Nigerians affected by flood disasters across the country are to benefit from federal government's interest-free loan totaling 6.3 billion naira. The Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Yusuf Sanunu, disclosed this yesterday at a roundtable event to mark this year's International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction in Abuja. Bandits, warlords, Katsina communities agree to lay down arms. Tension has begun to ease across the parts of Katsina State following a peace agreement reached between a group of bandits and community leaders from several local government areas under the federal government's Operation Safe Corridor initiative. According to counterinsurgency expert Zagazola Makama, The truce was sealed on October 12, 2025, during a crucial dialogue held at Kakumi village in Bakori local government area. Sources revealed that the talks aimed to end years of recurring attacks, killings, and abductions that have devastated communities across southern Katsina. Do or die clash. 3 teams, 1 chance. Today is the D-Day, the day of reckoning for the Super Eagles, the day the nation is expected to pray for the players as they attempt to do the near impossible of securing qualification for the 2026 World Cup, which will be hosted by 3 countries, America, Mexico, and Canada. It is a day that will be filled with mathematics, momentum, and madness, as well as a day of drama with unpredictability and heartbreak. We move on to the Nation newspaper. FCCPC backs central bank's 48-hour refund for customers. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has announced its support for the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN's draft guidelines requiring all banks to refund customers' money in cases of failed automated teller machine transactions within 48 hours. In a statement by its Director of Corporate Affairs, Ondaje Ijagu, the FCCPC said the exposure of the CBN's draft guidelines on the operations of automated teller machines in Nigeria followed the Commission's Consumer Complaints Data Report published last month. And lastly, from the explainer, FG gives mining firms December deadline to resolve agreements with host communities. The federal government last week gave mining and quarrying companies December 31, 2025 deadline to resolve community development agreements with host communities or risk severe sanctions, including revocation of licenses and reparations. A statement by Segun Tomori, Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Agadumo, said the decision was the fallout of a review of companies' compliance with CDA requirements in the first 6 months of the year. And that's it. You can pick up a copy of any of the daily Signal Online to read more. Also, interact with us via our social media platforms on X, Lagos Traffic 961, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961, on Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Traffic Radio 961, and follow me across social media at Dele Agadumo.